A lot of these people become nurses and CNAs with completely good intentions. They don't want to hurt anybody. They don't want to neglect anybody. What happens is they're not given the resources by the companies they work for. Those companies decide they're not going to put enough people in the building so that they can go off and receive larger profit, as opposed to making sure that their residents and the people in their building, and that includes the staff, are taken care of. So they don't get enough resources for the residents, and they don't get enough resources to actually help their own nurses and CNAs. And that's where the problems really develop. And that's why it is we actually sue the entities themselves, the nursing homes and their corporate owners. Plaintiff's work is a lot like a good mystery novel. The secret is to keep talking to people, current employees, former employees, current residents, former residents, their family members. You keep talking to people, and then you're able to put together a real full picture. I've definitely seen fraudulent charting. I had a case a few years ago where the defendants swore up and down everything was above board with their charting. They claimed that they were still turning and repositioning her to prevent a pressure ulcer. Of course, she developed a serious pressure ulcer because they never did provide the care. And then, at the DON's depot, the director of nursing, I confronted her with the chart and the client's death certificate. It turns out the staff had been charting that they'd been providing her with care for about a week after she'd already died. A few years ago, one of the other associates, Reza Sabati, and I had a trial in Monterey. During jury selection, one of the jurors kept telling us over and over again that he would never award money to a plaintiff unless he was absolutely sure that there was really strong evidence, because he thought most lawsuits were frivolous. It was about a week-long trial, and they read the verdict, and it was a 7-figure verdict. Our client started crying, I was holding her hand, and afterwards the jury was dismissed. They were all leaving, and that same juror looked at Reza and I and nodded at us in approval as he went out. That image is frozen in my mind, and I'll probably never forget that one. That's sort of validation of seeing that even the juror who claimed he wouldn't go for any type of plaintiff whatsoever saw her pain and acknowledged her pain and understood that what happened to her in that facility was wrong. The reason to hire Lanzone, Morgan, is because we put the elbow grease in there. We fight and fight and fight and fight, and take cases that others might say aren't worthwhile, but we say, you know what? We think there's something here. We think these people deserve help. We think these people deserve justice. We think these people need to have their stories heard, and they need compensation for what's happened to them. Because a lot of times they've been horrifically injured, sometimes they've been the subject of financial abuse, and sometimes they've passed away and their families have lost a loved one that they should have had around for another 10, 15 years. And that's a tragedy, and that's something that shouldn't happen. So we put the work in, we put the effort in to get justice for those people, for those families.